I'm Christine. I am in first grade, and I want to ask you some questions about your job.
My name is Laura. I've been a nurse for 5 years. Nice to meet you, Christine.
Hi, I'm Josh. I've been a nurse for about a year and 4 months, and I'm enjoying it so far.
Whenever you're at the hospital, is it hard work or is it fun work?
That's a good question. And to be honest, it is a bit of both. It is a little bit challenging because there's a lot of work to do during the day. But at the same time, it is a lot of fun taking care of patients. So I would have to say both.
So, have you ever thought of like saving anybody? Like, have you ever saved anybody?
Someone was, I guess actively dying, and we had to call a code blue, and a whole team comes in and helps to stabilize them, and then usually send them to the intensive care unit. There's been a couple of those situations.
Why did you want to be a nurse?
I wanted to be a nurse because I actually wanted to be a doctor, but I didn't have money to go to med school. So my mom said that I could become a nurse first, and then I could save up enough money to go to med school. But I really, really like nursing, so I kind of decided to be a nurse.
So I have a question about how much do you help the doctor?
Pretty good amount. The doctors usually just come in once or a couple of times a day, and will usually put the orders in or tell us what they want us to do, and then we'll be the ones to carry out those orders, basically.
What hospital do you work at?
I work at Laredo Medical Center. So there's lots of other jobs that nurses can do. I work in a hospital, but nurses can work in schools. They can work taking care of kids, or they can work as teachers in schools. Some nurses work with lawyers, and they're consultants whenever there's a legal issue in the hospital. There's also nurses who work in doctors' offices, and there's nurses who work in public health, and they make sure that there's policies set out for the city so that people get vaccinated, and there's different health programs available in the city too. So even though I work in a hospital, there's lots of different places nurses can work.
So why did you want to be a nurse when you first took the career?
I'd say I was probably most inspired by my grandparents. My grandma and grandpa did Hartog. My grandpa was actually a doctor. He was a surgeon, and then my grandma was a nurse. They were the ones that also worked in the hospital in Ethiopia around the time my dad was born. So I guess I've always been inspired by them.
Was it easy to find a job as a nurse?
It was very easy to find a job, especially here in Laredo. We need a lot of nurses in Laredo. So before I even graduated, there was a bunch of different hospitals that came to my school, and they took all of me and my classmates out for a nice dinner, and they gave us like a little goodie bag full of their hospital stuff, and they told us about their hospitals, and they gave us an idea of how much we would make if we went to those hospitals, and they said, we'll give you bonuses on top of that. Bonuses are like a little bit of extra money on top of the money that you already make when you work. So there's a lot of hospitals that really need nurses, especially in this area, and it is incredibly easy to find work. Almost everybody I went to school with had a job before they graduated. So.
How old were you when you wanted to have this wonderful job?
So I was already in college when I decided to become a nurse. I was probably about 19. Yeah, I actually didn't grow up like knowing or thinking I wanted to be a nurse. And even when I started college, honestly, I didn't think I could get through like nursing school. And honestly, I was kind of like squeamish a little bit as a kid, like with blood and stuff like that. So I guess if it's any encouragement to anyone, I guess it's something that you can kind of like like adapt to, you know what I mean? You don't always have to think that you're gonna do something. Because I mean, when I was your age, I probably wanted to be like a paleontologist.
So in the hospital, has it been tough or has it been easy? Has it been fun?
All three, just depending on the day. You know, there's some days that are pretty fun, not too crazy or hard or stressful. And then some days there's just more work to do. So yeah, it just depends on the day.
Is it hard to work because of this COVID-19?
It's challenging. The good thing is we do have a lot of nurses who came from outside of Laredo to help us. So that's been really nice, getting to meet those nurses. We've had some really amazing nurses come in. I think Laredo's very lucky to have the nurses that we do have and then the support that's come in. So it's a little bit challenging, just things change. We have to wear a lot more equipment when we're at work. But, you know, I think we're doing a really good job at the hospital, managing it and trying to help people.
What's the hardest part of your job?
So the hardest part of my job is when my patients are very scared. You know, sometimes patients are sick, but, you know, if you tell them the treatment plan, then they feel very confident and comfortable. But there are some people who have a difficult time in the hospital. You know, it can be very, very stressful. And back to your COVID question, that's sometimes one of the hardest things is when patients can't see their family members. Like on the COVID-19 unit, we don't allow any family visitors because of the risk of infection. So sometimes you have to be that person's support in the hospital. And it makes me very sad when my patients are sad. So I try to do my best to give them extra attention when they're having a hard time emotionally handling their illness, but that can be very, very difficult for them, and that's the part that stresses me out the most.
What's a normal day that looks like for you?
Most of the days monitoring your patients and giving their medications, and then whatever else the doctor orders, and yeah, that's pretty much it on like a calm normal day. Yeah.
So when you get home, are you tired?
Yeah, usually a little bit tired because it is 12-hour shifts, but it's only 3 or 4 days a week usually. So that means then I have the other 3 or 4 days off with my family.
What's your favorite part of your job?
Probably just knowing that you can be have a positive impact on somebody's life.
My favorite part is working with my hospital team and seeing my patients getting better. So there's a lot of people who are involved in the care, and you know, when we have a tricky patient who has a lot of different medical problems going on and they come in very, very sick, and then you see them improve a lot, that's very, very special to see. And it's very good to see patients get comfortable with their healthcare team, including the nurses, and they open up to us and they share a lot about themselves, and we get to see them get encouraged by us and get a lot better.
Is it hard to, like, when the doctor tells you to get something and then tells you to get another thing and you have to walk back and forth? Is it hard?
No, it's okay, go ahead.
Is it hard?
I guess when I first started, yeah, sometimes when you just like any job, like really when you're figuring out where everything is, you know, on the unit, or just figuring out how things are done. And so, I mean, yeah, it really helps to have a preceptor that shows you what to do. But yeah, nowadays it's not too hard. Most of the time, if they order something, I know how to do it or how to get it done. So yeah, it's just takes a little time and experience to learn how to do it.
Did you, when you were training, did you train with, all of the nurses and?
So I trained with, well, there's one specific nurse that they call a preceptor, and like I'm the preceptee, and he taught me how to do everything. So like basically I stuck with him and helped him take care of his patients. And but I worked on like a regular day, just like with all the other nurses. But there's usually just one nurse you'll be assigned to learn from while you're precepting, usually for 12 weeks or so.
What's something that people won't expect of being a nurse?
I think that it's different when you get to the job site than it is from nursing school. That it's a lot different, and in some ways that's good, some ways it's bad.
So something that was surprising to me is because when you're in nursing school, you learn a lot about the medicines that you have to give and the skills that you have to do during the day. And then when you get to the hospital, I think the thing that is very surprising is how many people you have to talk to for the patient. So sometimes my patients can have 5 or 6 doctors who are taking care of them, and they all come at different times during the day. And then on top of that, they have a couple different therapists that come in, they have a case manager that comes in, and it's just a lot of people to talk to. So they come to the bedside and I have to know all these answers about the questions. They come by and they're like, oh, so tell me about this patient, or they'll be saying, what did this doctor say about the patient's care? And I have to remember a lot of things during the day. So I had to learn very quickly that you have to remember a lot and that you have to really assess your patient well at the beginning of the day so you can find out all the problems at the beginning of the day. And you have to be on the phone and you have to call a lot of different people to make sure the patients get the right care at the right time, that all their doctors know that they're there and that they're seeing them on time, and so that they can get out of the hospital quickly as possible.
Was there a time when you had a difficult patient?
It just depends on the situation, because there's different reasons why a patient can just be, difficult. And sometimes it's because there may have been something where the hospital failed them, or there's something that you can do, and then there's sometimes that patients are just kind of being, unreasonable, and you just kind of have to learn where you can like know when you've done everything you can, or if there's something you still can do to help the situation. But yeah, you just have to be patient sometimes and just see what you can do, and then you sometimes call on help from other people, or your charge nurse, or your manager, your nurse manager, or even the case managers sometimes, in helping them with other needs. So yeah, it just depends on the situation.
Is it hard to being a dad while being a nurse?
Sometimes, yeah, because you're tired and you want to catch up on sleep sometimes on your days off. But no, it's not too bad, because like I said, I'll work my 3 or 4 days, and then that way I have another 3 or 4 days off with Cassie and Nathan. So it's a good balance. I think it's better than, or at least I prefer it more than working, say, Monday through Friday, like from 8 to 5 or something like that. Because with other jobs, sometimes you may have more time in the evening, but you have to go all week, whereas with nursing, you can get your work days out of the way, and then you have the rest of the week off with your family. So yeah, I like it.
Thank you for having the time to speak with me and answer all these questions.
You're welcome. Thank you for the interview. It was very nice.
No problem. Thank you, Christine. You're a really good interviewer.
Hey guys, so the purpose of these videos is to help educate students of all ages about the different career options that are out there, and hopefully get them thinking about what they want to do before they graduate high school and have to make a forced decision. So at this point, I just need you to do 3 things for me. The first would be to comment below what careers you or your child are interested in. Secondly, contact me using the information in the description box if you'd like to find out more about the services that I offer. And thirdly, like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Thanks for watching.